love.
And slightly disappointed.
Sorry,
I looked down at that again. I'm just like, we called that so much. Why is it only the doom and gloom predictions ever turn out?
I don't know, man.
It's not all bad news, but it's just slightly.
I will say, yeah, that one hurt.
Wait a minute. Don't have fast travel, but they used to have those rift stones. I'm pretty sure that'll come back. You know, we could drop the stone and teleport to it. Sorry. Gaming chat. Dragon's Dogma 2. We were looking at it. They're saying there won't be any fast travel. And I'm like, there was a fast travel system. It just was resource specific, which actually was very strategic. You had to find these items that you could drop, and then you could teleport to those. And you could put it anywhere, though, which was really cool, because if you wanted to farm a certain resource, like I would drop my stone near a healing spring, so I could go back and you could fill bottles of water with the healing water. And I remember, and what was great is it also made replay good because you kept your little teleport stones, so you could stock them up by beating the game again and getting more. Now you have more stones, and you can lay down even more than before. If you played through it enough times, you'd hit the cap. There was a cap, but you could have these stones down all over the place. So I doubt they're taking that out. It was a useful feature, and I like the more strategic factor of it. Of I've got 3 of these spots I can make fast travel spots. I need to pick locations.
Yeah, we'll talk about this. Let's go ahead and start. Welcome to Dicejunkies. I'm Xenodamus here with
Q.
And no Bloodaxe today. He has family, so let's get started. Well, since you were already wrong screen there, let me fix that. All right. Let's do that again. You were talking about Dragon's Dogma 2, so let's look at this. So no, it does say fast travel in Dragon's Dogma 2 will come in the form of port crystals.
Yeah.
Which require the use of rare, expensive fairy stone items as well as ox carts, which can fast travel along certain routes. So yeah, the ox carts travel along certain routes, and your port crystals, which are expensive.
Manageable. Well, no, the fairy stones are expensive. The port crystals are a rare resource. There's usually going to be a limited amount of them in a game. That's what I was talking about.
Yeah.
Creating a strategic factor. But there also were hard set port crystals remember at the city and major locations. So there is fast travel. It's not devoid of it. It's just there's some strategic elements to it, and and a resource. I don't mind a resource to fast travel.
Apparently, they have a lot of procedurally generated events and stuff like that, and that's why they wanted to reduce fast travel so that you run across these events as you travel.
And this can be important, people. You should be winking because it's like it could be special events that occur. Maybe monsters you can't find anywhere else, or people that you only run across, like rescue missions. So they may be trying to make sure you don't miss them. Yeah, because I'm almost sure there'll be some special occurrence that can happen when you're traveling to certain locations.
Yeah, which I'm fine with that. I mean, it's why I traveled on foot a lot in Skyrim, was because there was random things that would happen. And I like that aspect. So I get it.
I mean, I'm with you too. I mean, same thing. Even going back, dude, we're classic game players. Baldur's Gate 1 and 2. When you're traveling, there was a chance of something going down. Yeah. Sometimes that ended up in your favor, because I remember one time I found my first
in Baldur's Gate 1 and 2, fast traveling or traveling between the locations, I would actually do it more often than I should, because you had a chance to trigger something in between the different zones.
Well, here you have a choice. You could either build up the resource to safely teleport to locations, and like I said, you used to get mobile port crystals, allowing you to put it at your favorite farm spot, or where a location has a resource you want to gather. Like, that's what I was describing. There used to be these healing pools you would find, and you could bottle the water, and it's basically free healing if you had the glass bottles. So I used to go and put a port crystal at this location, so I could go stock up on free healing water And guess what? It's worth the fairy stones to me to go get like 10 bottles of healing material because I wasn't big into the alchemy system. It was a lot trying to figure out how to age and all that. It's got a nice little system there for preserving your goods. And I like just good old-fashioned healing water.
Well, and let's be honest. We've got to hope this works out and this is good because our other options aren't looking so hot.
Is that our segue?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll just segue this one. Yeah.
So now we did bring this up last time when we were talking about Avowed, about the lack of impact. So it does sound like they are actually going to try to work on that. They're looking into Vermintide's masterclass and having a sense of hitting an impact. So
yeah, as y'all know, with those that are watching, for those who didn't, like what we're going into more detail is that me and Xeno are very old school gamers. We have also we're technically inclined, so we have an eye for game mechanics, and we felt that the hits in Avowed didn't seem to carry weight. It almost, you couldn't almost tell a miss from a hit. You really couldn't. You're going to have damage numbers because it really didn't seem. It felt very floaty, very disconnected. Like you're swinging at the enemy. It's kind of like when you play VR games with combat. There's that tendency that it's like you're waving your weapon at it, but there's no sense of impact. So they apparently picked up on that and are going to fix that. Yeah. Unfortunately, they said some other stuff, which means we were right about something else.
Avowed lead reveals there's no one perfect build in Obsidian's classless RPG. There's going to be a choice and consequence of what you kit out. So basically it's heavily based off of your gear. There are going to be some options in building, but
it's basically going to be a skill trees that you can unlock, but they said they're doing a statless system. We called it. I said it when they kept talking about switching out your equipment. What did I say? I said, well, you can't have stats if the gameplay is centered around switching your equipment because that's not going to be optimal. A character made for ranged combat is not going to want to switch to melee if he's going to be very poorly performing with melee. Well, we were right. No stats. And that means that there's not going to be a lot of that RPG crunch that you get where you go, all right, I want to make a meaty buff warrior tanky. I want to do this. Instead, it's just going to be, well, what skills are you equipping? It almost feels like the systems they have now, the lazier system where you equip a couple of, you got 4 skill slots. Equip these 4 skills, and that's your character.
It sort of reminds me of, I don't know, it wasn't that very popular, so a lot of people may not have played it, but New World was an Amazon MMO, and this was one of the issues I didn't really care about it, is it was sort of lackluster. It was very kitted out, based, and so...
Well, there's another reason that this is a bit odd, because you actually have played the original games.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing, and this is probably why this hits me more than some other people. I mean, some people seem excited on the concept, but I've played Pillars of Eternity 1 and 2. The stat system was very complex. The RPG was very deep in character building, and being that this was taking place in the same world, I was really excited about that. But it's like, oh no, we just got rid of stats, and honestly, that killed me. It killed me, dude.
And honestly, the way they're talking, it sounds like it's going to be even looser than like a Diablo for stats. It looks like it's really going to be, what do you have equipped? Slot a few skills. Now, that's not a bad thing, but it does mean that Q was probably right that this is a hack and slash. It's more of a hack and slash. It's going to be closer to Devil May Cry as far as character depth. Which,
if it's a hack and slash, it means I really got to get this.
Because, because that's what you do in Darktide. Darktide doesn't have proper levels. It has levels, but what you're just doing is you're going down a skill tree. That's all you are. Now, then here's my question. They're still wanting you to mix and match your fighting styles. Then are the loadouts going to have where you can have different skills slotted to them? Otherwise, you still run into the other problem of, well, I've got all bow skills. Why would I switch? So I'm hoping it'll do like one of the best games and the Dicejunkies 2023 game of the year, our game of the year, Remnant 2, where Remnant 2 added loadouts. These loadouts, I can have a completely different skill setup. Like all of my background traits, I can respec them put them in different categories, save that loadout, and with a quick pause and switch, I can flip to the other loadout, and it will change all of my skill assignments to what I saved. So I can have a melee loadout, a ranged loadout, so that at least I don't have the problem of, I'm pulling out a sword. I'm on my dang gun build. This is going to suck. So I'm hoping they at least do that. But then again, I got a feeling it's going to end up with every character being the same. I got a feeling this means that his melee build is going to be the same as mine, probably. My range build is going to be the same as his. His wand build is the same as mine. Because that's what happens when you just have a skill tree. There's always an optimal, and there's rarely variety. Let's be real. Skill trees don't lead to a lot of variety within one particular aspect. There'll be the bow setup. There'll be the sword setup. Not the multi-attack sword setup. Crit, well, let me flip that because you're big in a crit too. So probably me, multi-attack or dot setup. I want to inflict bleed. He wants to critical a lot. Bloodaxe wants to be a blender. I don't think that's going to happen. Skill trees probably are not going to be diverse enough that there's going to be a lot of difference. If we all pull out a two-handed weapon, our skill trees are probably going to be the same. Now, I could be wrong. Maybe they're going to go real meaty into the skill system. But when you already don't even feel like putting in the effort of putting stats into your game that's based on a game that had stats, I'm sorry, I'd be a lot more forgiving if this wasn't a Pillars of Eternity set game. Yeah. But they're already abandoning much of the Pillars of Eternity play elements that people probably wanted. For example, you know what this means? You can't recreate Xeno in this game. You can't grab your Pillars of Eternity character. I know you made Xeno. That's who you made. You probably made Xeno as your party leader. He can't recreate him. That would have been so cool. You don't know how much fun it would be to take a character from an older game that I like to build and then bring him into a fully 3D open world experience and play that character. Character legacies are important, especially to us old school tabletoppers and gamers. We have a favorite character, we like to do it. You know, I have a Shadowrun character. I have 2 Shadowrun characters, and I'll keep waiting for a cyberpunk-like Shadowrun game, and hopefully if that happens, I'm remaking I'm making my Hermetic Spellcaster, and I'm making my Street Samurai.
I mean, this confuses the hell out of me. So, ask the game director, and he gives them a slightly mystifying answer. He says spells are on their own button. There's a single button to use an ability in terms of the ones that you have on your talent tree. Which makes the complexity sound really bad and not very good. See, and then spend the point you earn for leveling up in whichever skill tree you want to pursue. I'm just really confused about this game.
It feels like it's going to be the kiddie pool of RPG customization. Yeah. This feels like it's going to be like, hey, you know what? It still might be a fun game. And here's the good part. Game Pass. You're not losing any money. Because usually you're playing something right now. Heck, Power World. Just when I was about to literally, when I said I was close to it, now I'm holding out for Steam version of Power World. But Power World is a lot of value they put on. So this will be another game that comes out you can try. But I don't think this is going to beat out if we got a real RPG, just being real, because Lords of the Fallen, we recently found out apparently didn't hit that well either. I did a little follow-up on that, and we were looking at that and hearing like people going like, nah, I didn't really hit it. So we're looking for that RPG. Are we going to have to wait for Elder Scrolls 6? Is Elder Scrolls 6 going to get lazy again and do this Skyrim-like? Wrong, I love Skyrim, but I miss my stats, man. I miss my stats. I like the fact that my Red Guard, because I usually start off as a Red Guard Swordmaster, had very different stats than when I played my Breton Conjurer. You know, because those are my Elder Scrolls characters. Breton Summoner and Red Guard Swordsman, usually dual swords. Those are my builds. When I got into Skyrim and I found out what changed, my stamina and health and magic swing a little bit, and I've got a trait. And I'm like, that's way different from the fact that Red Guards came with high swordsmanship, high dexterity, but on the flip side, orcs came with high, constitution toughness and raw strength. Those differences, I like to see them. And already we know they're not going to be in Avowed. So what you're playing at the beginning is going to probably be what you're equipped with more than anything. And the skill trees worry me just because it's not impossible for them to have a diverse skill tree, but the combat we saw didn't imply that they were planning on going that complex. I'm afraid they're going to go with the quick and easy play.
It sounds like you only have one of your skills mapped once, so if it's a one button thing.
Yeah, so the question is
So
how
maybe most of them are just passive, maybe amplifying a little bit of this, but not enough to make it where you still can't do your loadouts, obviously. So,
and you know me, I'm that weirdo who, like, I play games where you don't have to wear no armor to be a mage, and I still don't wear armor, as do you. Like, I ran around in Skyrim with robes on because I said I'm playing a mage. I don't mind the lowered resilience. That makes me have to play better. It's like, I got to play this mage right. Yeah, we know you could throw on Daedric friggin' armor in an Elder Scrolls game and be a mage. It only slightly affects your spell cost. What you're
after that, I'm also feeling like this is probably going to be delayed till next year.
What?
They were saying that footage, that was this is alpha. I mean, they're already talking to this company trying to add some impact. I just don't feel like they're going to get this game into shape by when they said.
Because they're not that far off.
No. I mean, they said I think fall. So
that's a lot of changes. So, and we're not ragging on the game. This has not been confirmed.
It just lost some of my interest. That's all I'm saying.
What it is Avowed has been pushed. It was on the front burner for looking forward to. Then it was pushed to the back burner. Now it's pushed into we'll open the fridge every now and then and take a look at it. It's not on the stove anymore, though. It's now over here.
It reminds me, let me check, see if Redfall's done an update. Might as well while we're talking about.
This is becoming the tradition. Has Redfall done anything? They at least have they said they're going to do anything?
Let's see. Latest news. Nope. Still no update.
Still 2 months since the last time they said anything. Well, okay. But hey, we do go back and check on games.
Just check
we can prove it. We check,
I mean, we keep an eye on Diablo. We keep an eye on Redfall.
Dude, I've watched hours of Diablo Season 3 footage. I think I had more fun watching it than if I had played it. But I've been enjoying watching other people not have fun playing it. Sorry, I'm not trying to be a jerk, but nobody I know has been having a great time. Like, I've been watching all of my favorite streamers, and they've been like... And here's the thing. There's one flaw to the seasons I never thought of, but I think I did say it last time, is that it's really easy to skip a season. Yeah. Because everything resets. It's really easy to just skip a season. Because it doesn't matter. Because what do I lose? I lose nothing. Because season 4, you're going to lose everything anyway. So it's really easy to skip a season. That's why I told you that I thought there was a flaw in design. Okay? A flaw of the seasons is that they have to be good or people will just skip them. That's the biggest thing, is that there's nothing lost for skipping a season. So if your season sucks, people are just going to skip it. And unfortunately, you know what's bad about this? From what you told me, I found, because you tell me this, I found this out online, that like apparently there's 2 teams and they alternate doing the seasons.
Yeah, it wasn't me.
Yeah, I found out that apparently they alternate. So season 1 and 3 is the same team. Season 2 was a different team.
I would get that. I mean, I understand where you would probably do that because you only have 3 months between. So you probably, while one team's working on a season and getting keeping the season active, another team's already starting the concept for the next season.
Yeah, but that just I feel bad for that team now because they're now becoming known as the suck. Because it's like 1 sucked, 3 sucked, 2 was pretty good. If 4 is good, that's going to be the nail in the coffin.
Yeah.
They got to be. Yeah. I mean, you're not supposed to hate on your own coworker, but they're going like, oh, please suck season 4.
They may not be their coworkers anymore.
Oh, yeah. No, they wouldn't get rid of season 2 team. I don't believe it. They can't get rid of season 2 team.
But the season 3 team may not be.
Oh, yeah, no, they may be.
Say this because Microsoft fires 1,900 Activision Blizzard staff, as well as canceling a unnamed survival game that was in the works. Honestly, look, Blizzard needed to clean house. I hate to say it, and I hate to see people lose their job, but everything that's gone on in Activision Blizzard over the past few years has not shown a good light on their team, as well as, they had the recent call to office and their employees start complaining, why should we go into the office?
No, we agree. That's
like,
what Microsoft said.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, you're right. I hate to see people lose their jobs. And we've said this before. This is dead serious. People need their jobs. I'm terrified of the idea of losing my job. Like, as a father, it's like panic mode. The mere idea will keep me up at night. But at least I'm trying to not fire myself.
Yeah.
And when they call you in and say, come back to the office, and you know that your company's under new management. Because we've just been, maybe it's because we're older, we've been alive long enough. We know that when a company gets bought, that is the period of time that you're all on probation again.
I mean, you didn't have new management, but you were working from home for a while. You were called back to the office.
Took my butt in the office immediately.
You took your butt back into the office, yeah. And I mean, as business needs change, because business is a consistently changing environment and market, your employees and management have to adapt.
Yes.
Wait,
is the chat open?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, that's the thing, and but the other part is that if you've been around the business environment, you also know that when a company is bought, there is a period where they are looking for the people they can get rid of. Am I wrong?
Oh,
they're
definitely,
looking for because they've got redundancy. They immediately Xbox now has so many companies with RPG engines, QA teams, writers, devs, human resource departments. They're going to look and go, we've got too many. We're going to shave off the people we don't need.
You gotta be honest.
That's not the time for you to be raising a fuss.
If I was Microsoft right now, I've had some bad hits. Doesn't look like Valve's probably going to do much better for them. I mean, right now, I would look at the old school and the people anybody who spoke up against the last few games and how things were done, that seemed to have an eye in the market. I'd start pulling those people forward, start pushing away the people who've come up to the...
Who didn't want to listen. Oh, I'll tell you right now, right off the bat, I would just go, okay, give me everybody that's said something crazy to the customers. Get all of them, and they're fired. I don't care who they are.
Yeah.
Anybody that sabotages the business is out the door. We got it. We don't want to come back to office. Just out the door.
You don't want to necessarily consolidate too much of these companies because these names do bring a lot of ideas, and also people have an idea of what they're going to expect from Blizzard. People have an idea of what they're going to expect from Bethesda. People have an idea of what they're going to expect from Obsidian. So you don't really want to kill those, but you might want to trim the fat some and sort of create bridges between these companies to where, oh man, we're working on this. You guys did this really well. Can we get a couple of maybe devs over here from there to help? And you could create a awesome...
What Valve said they're trying to do for their melee combat. Hey. Because, I mean, I don't believe those games are from Obsidian. And I don't think the Dark Tide is Obsidian.
And they're not even under Microsoft banners. So
But I
do think they have a working environment because I have seen those games on Game Pass. So they do have some kind of...
you go and you look at somebody, and, for example, to me, there's really no reason a Valve shouldn't have a stat system and be at least as good as Skyrim minimum. Reason why? Because they effing own Bethesda. It ain't like they're going to get sued. It ain't like Bethesda's going to sue Obsidian. So at this point, they should go, hey, man, let me see your game. There's some stuff missing here. Go talk to these guys that know how to do this.
Well, my thing, too, is, man, at this point, Obsidian has an RPG engine. Obviously, they've worked on a lot of RPGs. Bethesda has a creation engine, Blizzard has its own engines. At this point, you might want to start looking and trying to create the one that works, because there's a lot of issues with creation engine. There's a lot of issues with, Obsidians. It's at this point, it's a need to come together and create something that everybody can work with. And hoping to see with these layoffs and stuff that Microsoft's actually working towards something, and not just randomly laying off 1,900 employees.
Yeah, dude. I look forward to the day I can play what is generally story-wise and abilities-wise the most interesting, iconic, and possibly the most imitated necromancer in any gaming field, the Necromancer of Diablo, in a frigging third or first person game, a proper action game. Mass money. I would love to see Obsidian or somebody get with Diablo and go, man, we're going to let people walk through the halls of hell and fight these demons and build their character and run with their friends. That's the game I'd like to see. And Microsoft owns the right number of companies to say, you guys get together and make this happen. They do. They have those companies under their banner.
Well, and I mean, right now, we're looking at a big overhaul of the game industry. I mean, we've had a lot of bad hits come out recently. We've seen absorbent
layoffs.
Well, not just layoffs, but budgets on games that didn't hit well. And I mean, we had, this article here talks about over 5,000 game industry workers have already lost their job. Now, this is taking into account the Microsoft's 1,900 staff. They said 10,500 game industry workers lost their job in 2023. Currently, we're at 3,770 with an additional 1,900 coming from Microsoft.
So they're going to probably break that number before the year is out.
Yeah.
Because they're already
So they're going to be at over half just in the first month. Now, this talks about layoffs. It does not talk about hirings. Obviously, a lot of these people are, starting independent companies or, going over to other companies. Obviously, you get rid of people that don't work out. You hire some new people that do maybe work better for your company. You don't see numbers on hiring as much as you see on layoffs and firing.
Absolutely.
But at the same time, that's a pretty big number already for January not to be
month
over.
One. Yeah, the way it looks, they're going to catch up to that number before we reach the halfway point. Well, but you know what? And that's the problem. Because, see, instead of the big, well-known gaming companies, spending their time trying to frigging make their games better, you could instead be spending your time harassing the indie and other companies that are doing interesting things and getting in their damn way.
Yeah. So Power World, which we all know has become a internet sensation, is now receiving death threats because of people who aren't happy that the game is a success. This team of 4 developers came up with this game, and it's not even fully released yet.
And see, this does make you not feel as bad about the terminations, because you're like, wow, apparently you only need 4 people to make the second biggest Steam game in the world.
Well,
ever?
Right now, probably one of the most talked about games before this, Baldur's Gate, Lorien Studios only has a few hundred employees. So, and that's employees. I don't know how many actual devs they have and how many were on that project, Yeah. And, of course, the same thing. You saw devs coming out going, don't expect this, to be the
Especially
norm.
Naughty Dog. Every game that's been good from an indie developer, some dev at Naughty Dog has been whining about. I'm not letting that go. That's crazy that somebody from Naughty Dog throws a fit if any game does well that isn't over-budgeted and over-inflated. And I'm like, it's like they know that they shouldn't have their job, but they're dumb enough to draw attention to themselves so they shouldn't have their job. This goes back to the whole thing we were just talking about of, you know what you shouldn't do? Stop going, I'm the problem. That's not a good business idea. But hey, at least this is fans. It's really dumb for like I said, a major company to decide, I don't know, one of the biggest franchises in the world threatening potential lawsuits.
So yes, the Pokemon Company released, we have received many inquiries regarding, which once again, people are actually reaching out to a company and asking them to sue Power World. This is a 4-man development crew. The company is releasing. We have not granted any permission for the use of Pokemon intellectual property or assets in that game. We intend to investigate and take appropriate measures to address any acts that infringe on intellectual property rights related to the Pokemon. We will continue to cherish and nurture each and every Pokemon and its world and work to bring the world together through Pokemon in the future. Wow, that is such a grandiose claim of entitlement. It's like,
Our games suck, so we're going to try to stop the guys whose games don't suck instead of just making better game.
Yeah.
That's what that is, because, here's what I thought Pokemon should have did. It should have announced another game, and it'd be, survive, you know what I'm saying? Like, here's what you ought to do. Make the game the people that or if your fans want to play, instead of taking away a game. Because you know how pissed people are going to be if Power World gets pulled? There's 2+ million playing it consecutively. They are going to lose their damn mind. You know what I'm saying? If they lose this game. It would be the worst black eye for Pokemon ever. Like, you taught the Pokemon players are sending death threats to Power World. I assure you, there are a lot more people on the other side of the fence, and they're going to be looking for your ass.
My hope is that Pokemon doesn't try to do the we've got the money and we've got the lawyers to drown you, even whether or not there's intellectual property or not.
I will start a hate campaign against Pokemon that you have never seen.
Jarek in the chat room says Power World longevity is a bit of concern, though. Pocket Pair has 4 games out on Steam, and 3 of them are in early access. This is probably one of the biggest negative comments we saw on the game. Like, the game had extremely positive reviews, but all the negativity pretty much pointed to the fact that they've had, I think, Craftopia being the main culprit of the hate. And I agree. I mean, but at the same time, if you're a 4-man dev team and you just sold, almost, I think, 6 million copies of a game in 5 days.
I think they're now focused on Power World. Now, that doesn't mean those other 3 games are probably staying in early access.
Yeah.
But, dude, it's the number 2 in the world. It's the number 2 concurrent player game on Steam ever of all time.
6 million copies does mean, though, that maybe the company grows. Maybe the company actually grows enough to work on those other projects and bring those to completion.
Oh, screw that. Refund those. Keep going. They made so much money on Power World, they can refund Craftopia and the other games. They'll be fine.
Craftopia had a decent sale rate, too. I mean, it was not it wasn't a big game, but
it's one I actually started it up.
Popped up a lot.
Well, maybe Craftopia, but where the money's at, man, Power World can't be abandoned. It's got to be focused on. Yeah. Because this is a head full of steam here, man. This is a head full of steam. This could make or break their company.
Flynn in the chat room says hopefully they can survive the legal trouble that will probably be coming from Nintendo.
I don't think
here's
Nintendo
the thing.
Has a case, man.
Enough people have actually, like lawyers have already, because YouTube and people do anything for content. A lot of lawyers have now gone to YouTube and actually breaking down the stuff, and a lot of them have picking up Power World as an object to break down on. And from most of what they've said, there's not really a case there.
The qualitative changes are there. You cannot copyright you can trademark a specific Pokemon, but you cannot actually copyright a style. You can't say no one can have an electric rat. You can say no one can have an electric rat that can be confused for Pikachu, but someone can have an electric dog or electric weasel or electric bird because Pikachu's a rat. And most of the lawyers I've seen have said that they can't win, keyword win, a case against them because the game's got too many qualitative differences, especially the gameplay. First of all, it's not tournament-based. You're not running around as a 10-year-old in a traditionalized tournament process and fighting gym leaders. You are in a survival game. The pals are treated as animals, down to you can eat them. You can butcher and eat them. You're treated like animals. It's very different from the world created by Pokemon. And the art style, while there are some similar ones, the funny thing is most of the similar ones aren't the ones that are trademarked. They were pretty good. It looks like they may have been paying attention because I know like Eevee's trademark, Pikachu's trademark, there's a few others, but the ones that have the biggest lookalikes so far don't seem to be the trademark ones, which is smart. Well, that's the thing, Flynn was saying. That's why I said is that they don't have to win. They just have to drag it out.
Hey, Jarek's saying the same thing, which, well, I said earlier.
That's what I was implying.
Yeah. Now, they did make a good bit of money off of it. And, more than 2 million concurrent players. Now, this also does not include what they're getting from the game, the Game Pass and Xbox. This is just Steam alone with over 2 million concurrent players. So, and everybody talks about how PUBG is the only one that's been above it on concurrent players at this point, which was at 3.2. But when you take in Game Pass and all that as well, they're probably hitting pretty dang close. And what did PUBG do? PUBG changed the face of the market, like PUBG style games,
an entire game genre.
Fortnite, all that came from
PUBG.
And
it was designed for concurrent players. It was this was designed for people to be in these massive matches. So it was a game that was designed to go, we want to get as many people playing at the same time.
Yeah, and Pokemon
Power World.
Sorry, I saw Pokemon here with the Fortnite could do with a Pokemon, and it popped. Power World.
It's Fortnite.
Yeah.
Well, no, they'll get a Power World. What? Pokemon with guns is what they call Power World. It's a better match for Fortnite.
Yeah. And we all know Fortnite doesn't care about copyright.
Well, they'll sign official, too. They might just go like, hey, man, we want to put Power World characters in our game, and they'll be like, cool.
Yeah. Well, Power World, and that honestly has been one of my biggest concerns about Power World, honestly, is the fact that Power World is using the Unreal Engine, and which ties it to Epic.
Yeah, but they've been good about not pushing that. They know where their bread's buttered. They haven't pressured people with their Unreal Engine because they know that that's going to be a make or break and could literally be a good or catastrophic. But here's the one good possible thing that can happen. If Nintendo tries to pressure Power World, they could end up doing something terrible for Nintendo and Sony, which is they could push them into Microsoft's camp. And Microsoft's willing to spend the money. Microsoft might go, we'll pay your legal fees. And then, boom, Power World's now already... Because remember, Power World's already only on Xbox console and PC, Steam. If Nintendo goes after them, it's going to stay that way. And if Microsoft decides to protect them, then they're definitely not going to win. Microsoft's got more money than Nintendo. It's got the money to go at it. We know they're willing to spend the money, and this could end up becoming a literal flagship competitor. So it's that old case of you may make your worst enemy. If they force Pocket Pair into the Xbox camp, that's good for us. But that's going to be terrible for Nintendo because Pokemon has no competitors. And if they make their own, it's going to be funny.
Here's an example of why I think So here's Craftopia with a peak of 27,000. Their Over Dungeon had a peak of 2,000, and then this
Pastor had a
AI
peak
Art
of
Foster had 793. So also, their ratings, which I think Craftopia's rating dropped due to the fact that it's been in early access for 4 years. But Power already has more than double the following.
It has more than double all of them together.
Has more than 100, or has 100. Is that
not quite? Almost 100 because it's 27.
Yeah, almost 100 times the peak concurrent.
So honestly, at this point, I hate to hate on the Craftopia people, but you know what? You know what they should do? They should give all the Craftopia people a copy of Power World. There's only 392 of them. There's only 392
That's
of them
currently
right now.
online, yeah.
Okay, 22, 27. They could give all of them a copy and wouldn't lose that much. Because it's digital. You know how it works. They could just send them a copy of Power World. Cancel Craftopia. Send a copy of Power World to all of the Craftopia people. The games are not that far off. Craftopia is a survival game where you're building stuff.
Here we go. Craftopia in the last, let's do the last month. What is its here's the last week. So it has a peak of 688 in a 24-hour.
Yeah, send them a copy of Power World, and then just focus on Power World. That's all I'm saying.
In the last week, I see where it's peaked up to 700.
Okay.
Here it peaked up to 734. So,
like I said, I'd send copies of the game out to
all the active players.
Yeah, or heck, all of them. I mean, dude. Okay, we know how digital copies. It doesn't cost you anything really.
Oh, it does. I mean,
not really. They can send a copy. It ain't gonna break them to just go, hey guys, look, we're focusing on Power World, but tell you what, you bought Craftopia, you've been playing. Here's a copy. You know what I'm saying?
No, I think that's a stupid idea. I don't think you need to go that far.
I think you need to get rid of Craftopia. They're losing money on it now.
Are they?
I don't think 700 and something's enough to pull people away from trying to keep Power World going. We still need the 1.2 on Xbox, man. I'm just talking about where the money is. I mean, I know normally you don't like too capitalistic a view, but at the same time, it's like this.
I mean, I don't know.
I
don't know the state of Craftopia at this point. If Craftopia is in a good enough state, you just take it out of early access.
Yeah, you could just do that. Yeah, just take it out of early access and call it a day.
Yeah, say, hey, done game.
Yeah. I mean, it probably is done, and they just never went around and removed the tag.
Well,
there's 4 of them.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing with early access, man. I mean, I've seen some games that were in early access that felt so complete. I'm like, why?
Dude, I think Valheim's still considered early access, and I'm like, when are they going to put it out? It's got, like, several zones. Like, how big are they trying to make it? I mean, hey, none of us will ever suffer
they're working on
Jarek.
the fire zone right now. I think the fire zone is probably the final zone.
Okay.
So,
but, it ain't Star Citizen bad. You know what I mean? Like, that's the early access king.
Yep, not Star Citizen.
Well, I'm not trying to pick. I mean, I'm just saying, though, some games sit, like, for a long time in early access. That's not really a big deal. If the game's a fully playable game and you can get a complete experience, then the early access tag isn't really a big deal. But if you got a 4-man team, you need to build your company. I'm just being fair and going, focus on what'll build your company up so you can get enough people to get all this out of early access. You know what's going to get all those? You know what's going to get? I already forgot the name of that other game. See, that tells you why they need to stop. Craftopia out of early access. Power World. Power World money and building the company up will allow them to make a Craftopia team. So I'm not trying to be mean. I'm saying they need to get this money in, have a Power World team, have a Craftopia team. The others' numbers were so low, you just got to give up. They got to call that AI simulators dead.
I mean, the thing is obviously this company knows how to dance the line of intellectual information. Because, I mean, obviously Craftopia is Minecraft. They even said their next game is like a clone of some roguelike game. I forgot what it was.
They actually called it.
They actually said, well, I'm not big into originality. Like, that's what the developers said. So,
hey, man, I want the best version of the game I can get. If it's somebody else that has to do it, I mean, I've always said the best Fallout game was done by Obsidian. I consider New Vegas the completed version when they done everything, got it fixed up, added the DLC. I consider it the best Fallout, period. Even better than Fallout 4. I played a lot of Fallout 4, but if somebody were to redo Fallout New Vegas with the updated engine and updated graphics, like actual full update, kind of like Resident Evil did, I'd be playing New Vegas. I'd probably never load up Fallout 4 ever again. I'd just go in and start modding and playing the New Vegas game. So that's just being real. Sometimes somebody else can get in there.
I still don't get why the industry has moved to oversimplifying RPGs when the top RPGs have all been, I mean, even Baldur's Gate, full fleshed out, system. People still talk about Morrowind and Oblivion, which had more of a system. People still talk about, the original Baldur's Gate games, which was a very fleshed out system. KOTOR had a very fleshed out system.
Dude, even with Fallout 3 and New Vegas is usually the two that people quote as their favorites, not 4. 4 simplified the stat system and the skill system disappeared altogether. There were no more skills. And I'm like, dude, managing your skills is what made you diverse. I'm going to play a science character.
A lot of people got upset with World of Warcraft when they simplified the trees, you know. They've gone back into making a little more complex trees. Actually, one of the few decent ideas that's come out of there recently. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, are they really shaving it off because they think that the player base is stupid and they want to try to oversimplify stuff, or are they trying to lower the development?
I don't know. They could be trying to attract more casual players, and that's an idea, but you've got to weigh the new players you're trying to pull in versus losing the ones you have. And that's what companies aren't doing that I see. They go, we want the new people. And they literally, especially in the entertainment industry, oh my God, in the entertainment industry, they had this attitude of like, we want the new ones, but we literally don't want the old ones. And it's like, but what do the numbers say about which is the bigger customer base? That's all I've always said is what's the bigger customer base? For example, a genre like Star Wars, your old customers is way larger than your new potential customer base. Why? Because it's massive already. It's massive. What you want to do is you want to pull in new and keep the old. I don't know why so many companies, I mean, this is what Pokemon, I think, is messing up with. They go out their Power World, they're going to take casual, non-fanboys and make them hate the company.
Well, and this is another thing I don't see Nintendo or the Pokemon company doing is, I mean, Power World actually has some stats for your character. Additionally, has multiple ways of advancing your pals. Has a very complex system of attributes on your pals that you have to manage so that you're
way more complex than Pokemon. Yeah.
So that your base is managed correctly, because you have to have certain stat attributes on it. Then you have like 3 skill slots on each of your pals that you can change out with these skill fruits and stuff like that.
They also come with preset traits that vary up, and those can be different and massively alter the performance of your pal. Mm-hmm. Like you may have a pal who's
you can have negative traits.
Yes.
Basically flaws and what's the opposite of flaws?
Oh, benefits.
Benefits.
Yeah, benefits.
Yeah, benefits.
Like some of the...
Not the word I was looking for, but yeah.
Advantages.
Yeah.
And like there'll be some that are better workers than others. And in different ways. It's not even just this one's faster at building. This one can build for longer before it gets hungry. This one encourages its other pals when working. This one over here is terrible at working, but he's violent as heck.
Yeah.
He's like, oh man, this one's a battle junkie.
Yeah, you actually have strategic pals, which are, help everybody in combat, and stuff like that. So yeah, a pretty complex system. Last thing, I'm going to get off the whole pal train, and but the last thing I want to say is I found this amusing. Gears of War creator Cliff says Pal World kind of validates a rejected pitch he made to Epic. Basically, he had actually made a pitch to Epic a few while back on making a Pokemon-like game, but with dragons. And,
a medieval Pokemon style game, like a medieval game, but with baby dragons instead. And he said all the major publishers rejected it. So this is hilarious, because it means that before Pal World did it, somebody had went to these guys and said, let's do this medieval style game and do it a little bit less kiddie, and you run around in a game with your monster. And they said, oh, that'll never sell. And it's like, you just got to sit there and be like, I don't think so. I think the reason that my biggest theory, and I'll try to wrap it quick, is that I think the reason Pokemon fans are mad is because the very last Pokemon game had your character end up in the past of the Pokemon world in a more like less technology advanced Pokemon world, where the Pokemons weren't quite as tame, and you ran around with your Pokemon with you in the overworld, and thus and you had to worry about cold and heat. It was kind of close to this concept, except as usual they just wouldn't jump that last line, but as soon as you could see Pokemon, but as soon as you got into a fight, it was turn-based again. And they just couldn't get over the turn-based. They just would not get out of the turn-based. And a lot of people that were looking at the game had hoped from what they saw that they were about to finally stop doing turn-based Pokemon fights and have your Pokemon out there actively fighting in a real-time event, and they did it. And many of them were saying, God, we want to see this. Man, I know. I was watching the videos of them going, man, if only, if only, if only. And somebody was listening. Don't get mad. I mean, somebody was listening. Somebody with less money and less people said, okay, you want survival? Sure. You want Pokemon? You want your character to be able to fight back? Yeah, sure, you can fight back. Why wouldn't you be able to fight back? It would be stupid for you to just sit there and watch your monster fight where you're like, go! Yay! No, man, you can freaking take a bow and go fight with your friggin' monster. That's the part I think is interesting. And it's also qualitative difference from Pokemon, which is why I don't think a lawsuit can, quote, win. Can they harass them? You can always harass somebody. Though they got to be careful, because can't you sometimes file for them to have to pay your legal fees if it's frivolous?
Yeah, if you can make it that far.
You can make it that far. It's like sometimes the strategy is you can hit them up and go, they got to pay our legal fees because they were wasting our time.
Yeah.
But let's hope that Microsoft is watching and they'll swoop in. I bet they are. You know Microsoft. I bet Microsoft is eyeing it and going like, yeah, y'all keep screwing up and pissing them off. We'll be here. We'll be Big Brother. Hey, what? Don't let you being picked on. We got your back. We got your back. So Power World 2, right? It's going to be on Xbox, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, going to be on Xbox, right?
What do you need to get this out of early access?
Yeah, what do you need? What do you need? Don't worry about it. No, you on Game Pass. We cool. We got to protect the Game Pass game. We got your back. And then, next thing you know, Nintendo and PlayStation. I bet PlayStation's even going like, oh, God, Nintendo, don't screw this up for everybody. Because, honestly, they've came back already and talked back. Remember I told you when people were trying to claim that Microsoft was threatening them to not make it multi-platform, the devs came out and said, they're not doing that. We've got no threats from Microsoft. Microsoft's not telling us we can't put this out on other systems. We all know what really happened. The other guys turned it down. So clearly they've got the guts to go screw that noise. That's the good advantage of having only a 4-man team. They can sit in a room and go, man, F Nintendo. You know what I'm saying? They may end up pushing them into the other camp.
Yeah.
And hey, open arms. Welcome to Microsoft.
Speaking of survival games that were a big success, let's talk about the survival game that wasn't.
Hey, according to them, it was haters.
The Day Before Studio asked whether you're going to believe it or your own lying eyes as it attributes the game's catastrophic performance to a hate campaign by bloggers. The game that shut down 4 days after release claims that it was all because of a hate campaign.
I have watched this game played for at least an hour or more of gameplay. I watched live streams. I've watched YouTube. You can go look at it. Like they said, they're telling you to not believe your own eyes. This was a glitchy mess and was nothing they promised, not even slightly close. The insanity for them to go, it was just haters. And I'm like, but we can see it. Like, okay, do you want to sit down with me and watch this video? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, I'll sit down with you.
I mean, I will say, I've seen that happen before. Like, I've seen where people jump on the negative bandwagon. I thought that's what happened a bit to Cyberpunk. I thought people were a lot more negative than necessarily and looked over a lot of the positive of the game. Now, at the same time, I don't think that's the case here. I mean, for one, if that was the case, then you would have probably tightened up your bootstraps, tried to keep the game going for a little longer. Yeah. But yeah, on top of that, these same developers are apparently
planning
their next game after shutting down their company.
You said con, right?
Huh?
Planning the next con.
Oh. Well, I hear cons, I think, of conventions. But yes.
No, there's con job.
Yeah. But yeah, that's why it threw me.
By the way, hate. Yeah, that's what y'all say. Hate.
In the same week that their catastrophic MMO service shut down, the day before, CEOs are reportedly starting work on a new game. Now, this is reportedly because obviously they're not. If they are, they're not going to come out and say it because I mean they just shut down and fired all their
it's a
team.
mobile game. Oh, mobile games are a money grab, dude. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
These guys are hustlers.
So supposedly they have been contacting former employees, even former employees that were fired before all this went down, to as they're looking for veterans to start working on a new mobile game. So, yeah, no, man, these guys are...
And look, they even described it as the employees are the one that snitched and said, they're sending us letters as if nothing ever happened, even those who left on bad terms are fired. These dudes are some shysters. So, basically, they're trying to get another gotcha, get it out there, grab the money, and run.
Well, I mean, the last gotcha sort of failed because they had to refund all that stuff.
Well, you don't know if that came out of their pocket. You don't know how that went down. They could have filed bankruptcy. They could have, because they shut the company down.
Yeah.
And remember, usually if you shut down a company, a lot of those debts, don't fall on the individuals. They might have, the company or whoever insured it may be.
Well, that's
paying
true. I mean, yeah, there is some insurance built up for the company versus the
but I bet you they all grabbed their paychecks and ran, and they're already trying to start another game, but they're trying to do it covertly because they know that anybody that knows it's them is going to go, we're going to wait and see what you put out. So, I mean, I'm not even trying to pick on these guys. I would have actually been a lot more sympathetic if they hadn't hit that, people are lying about our game. The game was just hated on. I'm like, no, man, the game sucked. Like, at least say we screwed up. We're going to do better next time. I'll respect you more because that can happen. I'll never respect you, though, if you come with the friggin', nah, man, people telling a story. It's like, no, man, the game was messed up. And the thing is, you could have fixed it. You didn't even try. I mean, look at Starfield. Starfield is on so many most disappointing game lists. You know what I'm saying? It gets murdered. It's still there. They're still trying to put stuff out for it. They didn't give up instantly. Like, when you give up 4 days in, that means you never intended to do what you were supposed to do. It's really easy. Because 4 days is ridiculous. You didn't even let the game get a week or two under its belt. You just immediately said, they got us, run, and you bailed. That makes you look real guilty when you didn't even sit up there and put in a week on your game. That's crazy. Am I being unreasonable? No. That's not enough time for you to decide your game failed at all. How many games started out with mostly negative? Imagine what we'd be looking like if No Man's Sky decided to listen to people. That game got murdered. I mean, they got humiliated. And they didn't cry and quit immediately.
Well, dude, I mean, it's like Mass Effect Andromeda. Recently it had a resurgence. People were going back, playing the game, enjoying the game, That was one of them that I thought got way more negative press than it actually deserved as well. Time will usually tell if, you may have gotten some injustice. But also the Andromeda team decided not to continue working on Andromeda because of the bad press. Well, then again, Cyberpunk got bad press. But they continued to work on the game. Now their game is one of the top games of the year. It won some awards on. Oh
no, it's considered to have been greatly improved upon. And even though I'm not in love with the game, I will say I did say that when I went back. I said it plays great, didn't I? I said it plays great. It plays great. It's really was just more of I'm not a big Cyberpunk guy, and I had cooled. But I will say they did go back and improve the game significantly. Absolutely did. And if you hadn't bought the game before, if you buy it now, you'll get way closer to what they promised you. And I will say that heartfelt. My issues with the game are not that the game doesn't play well. My issues are, I've got a problem now that I'm older. I kind of got a certain way I want to play. And if that's not well supported in the game, I don't enjoy it.
It's also because you know all the endings prior to playing the game, and you're not happy about that.
Also, I'm not a fan of the hacking. Like, if the hacking was better, I'd still be playing, dude. Because I play games. I beat Remnant 2 a bunch of times because it plays the way I want. But, no, I'm not saying the hacking's bad. I'm saying the hacking isn't what I was hoping it's going to be. So the game is good. It just didn't do what I wanted. So I'll never tell anybody, don't play Cyberpunk. I'm like, no, do you like Cyberpunk? Do you like that genre? Then this is the game. Yeah. Now, I was looking for a little bit of different hacking, but I also understand the hacking I was hoping for, not easy to do. Not easy to do. Like, would have been very difficult.
Yeah.
So I understand that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to give my money back. They earned my money. They made a damn good game. They earned every penny of it. And I did play months of the game. And when I went back, I played it for about a month. So I got my money.
Yeah. Last thing I got is a little bit of rumor, a little bit of highly anticipation from a lot of people, and that is Nintendo Switch 2 will reportedly launch this year. So some specs have leaked out on that. Of course, Nintendo has been really harsh on not upgrading really the specs much on the Switch. And the Switch never had a big screen. The thing is, you have the docking station. Once you dock it, it goes to your TV. That's your big screen.
All right.
Otherwise,
I'm like, oh. Ooh.
So, anyway, now they do say it's going to be $100 more, and this is what I think may kill it because $400 for the next gen of the Switch is a bit pricey. Now it's because of the OLED. I think you can get the regular version of the Switch for around $200, $250.
I'm checking the prices on like some of the other consoles because that's getting really close.
It is getting close to Xbox and Sony prices. I think they're around $500.
I don't know. I'm checking. Well, don't forget there's the S.
That's true. The S I think is around $3.
Actually, supposedly the Series S at Walmart right now is $219, and then the X is $349.
Yeah, they recently did price drops. I think they were around $400, but this is also a new gen system, so I don't know. I think $400 may be a bit much for the Switch. Though.
Well, if you can get an Xbox or a PlayStation around that, that is too much because I'm not going to get a Switch for the same price I pay for a major. Because, dude, did you see the freaking Mortal Kombat 1 port? Oh my God, that looked awful on Switch.
People don't buy the Switch for Mortal Kombat, though. They don't buy the Switch for Call of Duty. They buy the Switch for the new Mario RPG and the new
that's why it's not
Zelda.
That's why it's not a $400 system. It is unless you you host a lot of kids.
It's also a 2-in-1 system. It's a portable system while also being a console.
There's people that it might have that value. I'm not one of them.
Yeah,
I would spend no more than about $200, maybe $300 if I really was desperate to play something. But I'm not gonna. I'd go buy an X because I have an S. I'd go buy an X and give my son the S. Before I would spend $400 on a Switch. But that's me.
Yeah.
Michael said you can get a Steam. Jarek says a Steam Deck could be snagged for that price. So. And the thing is, that's what Nintendo always had the best on, is that Nintendo was very price efficient. It was easier for families to save some money on buying. It's designed to entertain all the kids. I don't think
that was really
I think the price tag was very beneficial to Nintendo.
For the Switch, yes.
Or
I don't think for the previous Nintendo consoles were really that price efficient.
I haven't owned a Nintendo console for a long time. I think 64 was the last one I owned. Yeah. But I always thought they were cheaper than their competitors. Were they not? I'm sure they were usually $100 to $200 cheaper.
I'm not. I can't tell you on that one, but I don't feel like they were really a price conscientious buy originally. I think the Switch sort of hit that market because the early Switches.
I remember the Wii being cheaper though. I know the Wii didn't cost the same as an Xbox. Wasn't that the one before the Wii? Wii U and all that.
There was the Wii U.
I know it was. I'm willing to bet money it was $100 or more cheaper. I'll look into it.
Yeah,
we'll find out. I'll if I find out, and I'll bring it up next time. But I could have sworn that the Wii U was cheaper than its competitors, and that was one of the benefits of it, was that you weren't spending like $500-$600 on like a Wii. You know what I'm saying? Oh, there you go. Price comparing of every console right there, first one.
Yeah, no, I clicked it. Just got to give me a second for things to load, man. All right, so here we go. Xbox, the original Xbox was listed as, here's the
Stop going up and down. I can't read like that.
All right, the original price was $299 for the original Xbox, $249 for the Wii.
So it's $50 in.
And then the Wii U was $299 and $349
Well, Wii U went
versus
up
the
against-
PlayStation 4.
$100 mostly.
But I mean, if you look at the NES was $199 versus the Sega Genesis being $189.
Well, back then, yeah, I'm talking about
PlayStation $299.
last few years.
Well, yeah, $199 for the 64, $199 for the Dreamcast,
$299
for PlayStation
$299 for
2.
Xbox. So $100.
$199 for GameCube, $299. So it has always been a little bit cheaper.
$50 to $100 different. Now let's look at the last ones. We got Xbox Series X, $299 and $499.
Yeah, $299 for the Switch.
So
and
same as the S.
$399 for the 4 Pro.
Yeah,
$499 for the Xbox One.
$100 or more. There you go.
$499 for the Xbox. Yeah, so Switch and the Xbox X1 came out at the same time with a $200 price difference, and that's what I was talking about with the Switch being so massive. Is the Switch was the one $200. All these others was $100
Switch was a
or
big
$50.
one, yeah. No, Switch. Well, look at the Switch Lite, $199. That's the cheapest console in, let's see, 2019 versus 2001. Cheapest console in 18 years. So no, like they always offered up some price efficient because dude, $199. That's the lowest.
Yeah, but that
thing
was handheld only. That wouldn't the Lite was only handheld.
Oh, you couldn't hook up to TV?
Yeah.
So Nintendo though usually offers it down a little bit more. And dude, there were times money was tight enough that $50 was a deal breaker, and it definitely were times that $100 to $200 was a deal breaker because gaming wasn't as big back then. So your parents weren't like, we'll get you this one. You don't need that one.
But I mean,
really
the
expensive.
Switch is coming out. The new Switch is coming out at what the low end price of the PlayStation 5.
Yeah, it's not too bad, but
Sad.
still might be higher than more people are willing to spend. Given how rarely it was ever got over $200, it was usually under that or at $249 at the highest of what I'm looking at. Now it's jumped from $249 was the most expensive one to $400. That is a significant increase from the previous device. It's one of the largest price jumps from the previous device. Most of the consoles went up $100 an addition. This is going to be $150. Now, is it going to have the specs to compete with an Xbox S, which can play anything an Xbox X can? I can play Mortal Kombat 1 on my Xbox S. Characters don't look janky. Does it give the hardware for the price?
From what it sounds like,
Given the size of it, I doubt it. It does not look like it can have the hardware in something that small to compete with a PlayStation 5 or an Xbox S.
yeah, that doesn't seem anywhere near.
Yeah. So it's more expensive, but it's not giving you a technology boost. I would probably stick with my whatever the previous one was. I'd probably stick with it because why would I spend that much and I'm not going to be able to play the next gen of games, which is the one flaw of the Nintendo console.
I mean, I've liked my Switch. I don't play it that often, but I have enjoyed when I have played it. I've got to replace the battery on my Switch, and the only reason I'm looking at this now is I'm just like, man, instead of breaking my Switch apart, trying to buy a $40 battery pack and have to install it myself, maybe I just buy a new Switch, which is probably completely price inefficient, but also I am a bit of a latest and greatest type of person, so I'm just like,
I mean, hey man, if you got it, but
this
like
just gives
I
me
said,
the excuse to be lazy and not replace the battery on my my original
like I said,
Switch.
you're not dealing with I've got like 3 kids, I'm in a family situation, but that upgrade may be too expensive for some parents who are trying to be economic. Not everybody's us where our biggest expenses are entertainment budget because we don't have a lot of other things, I've got my son, but he's got everything he wants. I spoil the heck out of him. But, other than that, my other expense is entertainment. Helps, too, that we share a lot of the same interests. So, hey, we have a VR headset now. But he likes stuff like that. He's never wanted a Nintendo device. He was like, I want a VR headset. He likes PC games. He plays on my PC. He's a PC gamer. Yeah, I remember that. When they stopped playing previous. But that's my question, though, is Nintendo going to now decide that every game has to be played on a new model? I don't know, because they're both Switches. So we'll see.
The old Xbox consoles did not have really good reverse new gen compatibility. Usually they took some of the really big titles and would make those compatible for the next gen, but for the most part, most of your disc would not work between generations.
Yep. That's the advantage of digital copies now, because like there's not much excuse for that this is the disc. The disc doesn't work. It's like, nah, man, it's digital. I should be able to play anything that my previous system could play. And for the most part, Xbox is good about that now. You can usually load anything in the store onto your new console.
Almost all the Xbox One games that you bought will work on Xbox.
I think I went back and played Bully at one point. So, you can jump back quite a bit.
Matter of fact, dude, some of the old games I bought with my early Xbox, I had skipped a couple of generations of Xbox. I think 360 was the last one I had, so I skipped the one. And then I got the X. And there was games I'd forgotten about that I had bought digitally on my 360 that just popped into my library as soon as I logged into my Microsoft account. So.
And, man, those games are a lot better with those load times knocked out. I ain't gonna lie, man. It's amazing how much fun some of those games are when you don't spin the usual 30-second load screen, because it's just like it just jumps and you're like, this game's pretty good now, and I'm not looking at loading screens all the time.
All right, guys, that's going to wrap us up. Thanks for watching. Be sure to check us out at Dicejunkies.com, where you can find links everywhere we're online, Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, Facebook, all that good stuff. Be sure to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell on our YouTube channel. And as every week,